Welcome back to my New York Jets franchise rebuild here on Madden 24. Today we will be taking on the entirety of the offseason because for the second year in a row we failed to make the playoffs. With a 9-2 start to the year, we were listed as the 1 seed in the playoffs at one point. But from here against the Texans, where we lost 26-31, we proceeded to lose every single game past that. With that happening, I feel like we definitely have to make some changes, and we're going to start with our defensive coordinator, Darren Young. We're going to go ahead and fire him and try to find a new one. And the guy that will be replacing him is defensive coordinator Sammy Rios. He's going to come in with the Buffalo defensive playbook and a 4-3 quarter scheme, changing around the defense just a bit because the defense has talent. That was not the problem. I don't know why they fell apart. But now, before we advance to see who makes the Pro Bowl this year, I want to take a look at this season stats. Starting with quarterback Jared McDonald, our rookie that we took at the end of the first round. He came in under a 70 overall, but still managed to win the starting job in the preseason. Finished this year with 3,900 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. And then Breece Hall had an absolutely insane year, running for 1,900 yards and 19 touchdowns. Jared McDonald runs for 891 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground, so he combined for a total of 43 touchdowns this year. Our receiving stats don't look super pretty here. Garrett Wilson, 1,100 yards and 8 scores. Brock Bowers, 800 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, who only played in 11 games, caught 46 passes for 585 yards, but got 10 touchdowns to lead the team. Brendan Rice caught 4, Breece Hall caught 2, Johnny Wilson caught 4, Blake Corum caught 2, and Odell Beckham even caught 1. Now jumping over to defense, Quincy Williams ended up leading the team in tackles with 137. Tackles for loss is going to go to Quinnen Williams, and sacks easily goes to Quinnen Williams, who came away with 22.5 this year. John Franklin Myers got 9, Jermaine Johnson got 7, Boogie Basham came away with 6, and he actually had a really solid year for a guy that I really didn't think was going to get that much playing time with us. And then Will McDonald came away with 3, Damian Bryant, our rookie middle linebacker, got 2, and then Quincy Williams, Bryce Hall, Danny Campbell, and Leonard Floyd all got 1, and Sauce Gardner apparently got half a sack. And then in interceptions, the only one to get more than 1 was Sauce Gardner. Damian Bryant, Quincy Williams, Bryce Hall, Rasul Douglas, and CJ Mosley all got 1 this year. Now to check some stats from around the league. Joe Burrow ends up leading the league in passing yards with nearly 4,900. The most touchdowns goes to Patrick Mahomes, who threw 40, and the most interceptions is Aaron Rodgers, who threw 22, and hopefully his final season as we sent him to the Commanders last year. Well, not only did Breece Hall lead the league in rushing yards with his 1,902, he also had the most attempts on the year, but the most touchdowns goes to Nick Chubb, who ran for 22 in New England. Who had the most fumbles this year? Well, that's not what I want to see. There were only 2 players to get over 100 catches this year, one of them being CeeDee Lamb, the other one being George Pickens. The most yards goes to CeeDee Lamb, who also caught 20 touchdowns, and that is also going to lead the league. Well, it looks like we're going to have the league leader in tackles with Quincy Williams, and also in sacks with Quinnen Williams, who came away with 22.5 as we saw earlier. But the most interceptions goes to Darius Slay, who came away with 7 this year. Jake Elliott was actually pretty reliable for us this season, hitting 90% of his field goals, going 19 for 21, and never missing an extra point this year. But I think guys like Daniel Carlson, who went 16 of 16, and Cairo Santos, who went 19 of 20, are probably going to get the award for best kicker. And here is your playoff bracket for this season. It still really sucks, so we are not a part of this one, but it is kind of cool because we get to go right into the offseason. But the next step we're going to go to is the Pro Bowl. Well, unless I'm missing somebody, I am only counting 3 Jet players on this list, and I really thought we were going to have more than that. I know it's going to be really hard for our quarterback to get it, so obviously I'm not upset that he's not up here. But Breece Hall does make it as the running back 1, which is obviously really cool to see. But none of our receivers make it. Rashee Rice is here, not Brendan Rice. I thought maybe Garrett Wilson did enough to get up here, but obviously not. Our tight end, Brock Bowers, also does not make it. We only have 1 offensive lineman get in, even though I feel like our offensive line was pretty solid all year. Trey Smith is the only one to get in there. And then we only have 1 player on our entire defense that made it, and that is Quincy Williams. Quinnen Williams does not make this list, despite leading the league in tackles, which I think is a little bit absurd here. Well, I feel like this Super Bowl was not really expected. It is the 7 seed Las Vegas Raiders against the 4 seed Atlanta Falcons. However, before we simulate Super Bowl 60 here, we do have some yearly awards to look at. We are going to start with the MVP voting, which goes to Lamar Jackson. Jared McDonald, our rookie quarterback, ended up in second place there. And Coach of the Year goes to Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. We end up 6th on this list. Next up, I will go through all of the NFC awards. CeeDee Lamb wins Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Aaron Donald. Offensive Rookie goes to Miles Kerr in Carolina. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to CJ Rodgers in Seattle. Best Quarterback goes to Dak Prescott. Running Back goes to Saquon Barkley. Wide Receiver goes to CeeDee Lamb. Best O-Line goes to Tyler Smith. Best D-Line goes to Aaron Donald. Best Linebacker goes to Rashawn Gary. Best Defensive Back goes to Darius Slay. Not much of a shock there. And Best Kicker goes to Cairo Santos. Now, as we jump over to the AFC awards, we start with Offensive Player of the Year, which does go to Nick Chubb. Lamar Jackson finishes second there. Breece Hall finishes third, and Jared McDonald finishes fourth. We only have one player on the Defensive Player of the Year award list, but that's the only spot we need because Quinnen Williams is taking home that award. We also end up landing Offensive Rookie of the Year for quarterback Jared McDonald. I've shown this several times throughout the season, so it shouldn't be much of a shock, especially since he finished second in MVP voting, but we should finally get rid of his normal dev trait. And this one's a bit of a shock because Damian Bryant was in second or third place all year, but we also win Defensive Rookie of the Year with our rookie middle linebacker. The best quarterback goes to Lamar Jackson. Jared McDonald finishes second on that. Best running back goes to Nick Chubb. Breece Hall finishes second on that. Best wide receiver goes to Rashee Rice. We do have one player on this list. It is Garrett Wilson all the way down here at 10. Best O-line goes to Tyler Linderbaum. We have a few players on this list with Max Mitchell, David Edwards, and Josh Jones. Best D-line, we once again only have one spot, but it's the only spot we need because Quinnen Williams is taking home that award. Best linebacker goes to TJ Watt. So Quinnen Williams led the league in tackles and can't even finish inside the top 10 for best linebacker. That's pretty cool. Best defensive back ends up going to PS2 over in Denver. We finished 6th place with Sauce Gardner. And then best kicker goes to Daniel Carlson, who was perfect on the year. Alright, this is a pretty cool upgrade to see. Quarterback Jared McDonald has gone from a normal dev trait to a superstar dev trait. Can I actually see this progression history here? He ends up getting the star dev because he, I guess, played well enough, and then the Offensive Rookie of the Year gives him the superstar dev. That is actually pretty amazing to see. I believe the only other change we have here on offense is Breece Hall goes from a star dev trait to a superstar dev trait. Garrett Wilson, Brendan Rice, and Jalen Waddle all remain star dev traits. On defense, it looks like Jermaine Johnson actually lost his superstar dev trait, and this time I think it's probably earned. Last year he lost it, but I bumped it back up because he was coming off a double-digit sack season. This year, after losing 6 games in a row, you only came away with 6 sacks on the year, I believe. Probably going to keep you at a star dev trait. And I never figured out Danny Campbell's official dev trait because we actually got a couple upgrades. When we drafted him, he was a normal dev trait. He then got a star, so it went to hidden, and then right as I was about to unveil that star, he got another upgrade in weekly training up to a superstar, so it still shows he's a hidden dev trait, but as of right now, he should still be a superstar dev trait. And one other change is middle linebacker Damian Bryant. He was a normal dev trait. Because of his Defensive Rookie of the Year award, he goes up to a star dev trait. Now obviously, like always, after this week, some of those guys could get downgraded again. I really just want to show everyone what they were currently, just in case there's anyone that I feel like I should probably bump back up. But let's figure out who has won Super Bowl 60. Alright, it was apparently an incredible shootout as Las Vegas wins 48-42, led by Super Bowl MVP quarterback Quinn Ewers. Alright, well, as a Sooner fan, I absolutely hate to see that happen, but you know, good for the Raiders, I guess. Well, we have some upgrade points to spend, and Jared McDonald actually has 2 points here. But coming over here, you can see they already bumped him down to a star dev trait, which is absolutely stupid. I am going to go in right now and actually edit that back to a superstar. I feel like with the way he played second in MVP voting, he deserves to be a superstar dev trait, so that is what we're going to keep him as. But now that that is actually taken care of, let's go ahead and upgrade him. So we're going to upgrade his field general. He is finally a scheme fit with us up to a 75 overall, getting +1 to awareness, 2 to throw accuracy short, and 1 to throw under pressure. We're going to keep going into field general here, and this time he's going to get 2 upgrade points, 2 to throw accuracy deep, and 1 to throw accuracy mid. Then we also have the Defensive Rookie of the Year in Damian Bryant. He did remain a star dev trait, so we'll keep him there. He gets +1 to awareness, 2 to play rec, 1 to pursuit, and 1 to tackle. We do have a couple retirements on our team this year, not much of a shock to either one of them. Zach Ertz and Kirk Cousins have both decided to retire. And just because I wanted to come check, Aaron Rodgers has finally retired after 21 seasons in the NFL. But now we can look around the rest of the league for retirement. Shaq Mason is gone, Harrison Smith, Marcus Mariota, Laken Tomlinson, Morgan Moses, David Andrews, Darius Williams, Khalil Mack, Ryan Jensen, Devondre Campbell, David Bakhtiari are couple retirements. George Fant, Brandon Sheriff, Stephon Gilmore retires a Giant. Lane Johnson has finally retired. Johnny Hecker, DeMarcus Lawrence has finally retired as a Dallas Cowboy after 12 seasons. Michael Burton, Deshaun Williams, Nick Martin, Bobby Wagner, Ted Karras, and Garrett Bowles. Everyone else does not appear to have been on a team when they retired. Now, as we get ready to officially jump into the offseason, we have 21 players ready to negotiate their contracts, and we only have $35 million in cap space, so I imagine we're going to have to make some decisions here. Well, the first contract we're going to throw out is our punter Tommy Townsend for just a 1-year deal. Will he take that? And yes, he will. But like I said, there were going to have to be some decisions made this offseason, and we have to make a few tough ones here. But the first thing I need to do is actually go in and change John Franklin Myers back to a defensive end. I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I don't remember if he was a left end or a right end, so I moved him back to left end. Either way, he was an 83 overall end, so I don't really think it's going to matter that much. But with only $32 million in cap left right now, I'm really not sure what I want to do. I do know I want to bring back left tackle Bernard Raymond, so let's go ahead and try that. He doesn't have a ton of interest in coming back here. We'll give him a 3-year offer, and he will be returning. Never mind, I can't read. He is not going to be returning. Bernard Raymond will be testing free agency, so we've just lost our starting left tackle. I don't really know how controversial this is going to be, but if you remember last season, we got 2 corners that were superstar depth traits from the draft after I signed Rasul Douglas. It was only a 1-year deal. We're not going to be bringing him back. Now, I would love to bring back John Franklin Myers, but he wants about a $20 million contract, and I'm really not comfortable giving him that right now at an 83 overall, 29 years old. You're really not going to get any better. This is kind of where you've peaked here. So we're also going to let John Franklin Myers walk into free agency. I am also going to let free safety Jordan Whitehead walk into free agency. There is a ton of interest in him coming back here, so I think we can get him back if we absolutely need to. The next decision is the 5th-year option for left end Will McDonald. Only a 77 overall, star depth trait, 27 years old. I think we're going to go ahead and decline his 5th-year option. Nearly everyone else here that I'm seeing is someone I think we can even get better at in free agency, so I'm not going to try to bring back all of these guys here. There's only one other guy that I really want to go over why we're not going to bring him back, and that is going to be outside linebacker Quincy Williams. And the reason is he's 30 years old, a 79 overall, normal depth trait. If we can get him back in free agency, if there's no other options, that's fine. But as of right now, I would like to move on and either get younger or better at the position. And before we kick off free agency, we have traded Will McDonald to the Rams in exchange for a 2nd round pick in the upcoming draft. The main reason I did that is because we had just declined his 5th-year option. As you just saw, he was clearly not in the future plans of this team, so why not trade him away, get a 2nd round pick, and get someone who can be on this team for the next few seasons. Well, unfortunately, I'm not really going to be that active in free agency this year. We don't have that kind of cap space. Last offseason, we had a ton of cap. I threw out a bunch of big contracts, and now we're just going to try to sign some guys to maybe fill in some spots that we have. Like, we're going to try to bring in Malik Hooker to be our starting free safety, right end Jonathan Greenard, and then left tackle Rasheed Walker. There are some really big names available, but really kind of out of our price range. And we managed to land all 3 of those guys, so this is going to be our entire free agent class. And I understand that's not incredibly exciting, but we're really going to try to build more through the draft now. Before we check out the final mock draft, let's check out the free agency recap and see where everyone ended up landing. Tyron Smith is now a Tennessee Titan, Joel Bitonio is now a Houston Texan, Deron Bland is a Ram, Kenny Clark is now a Seahawk, Braden Smith is a Steeler, Jacoby Myers is now a Titan, James Cook is a Buccaneer, Darius Slay is a Texan, and DJ Reed is a Panther. In the first round of this draft, we have landed pick number 16, so let's see who exactly we are mocked this year. It is mocked as right end Aaron McAllister out of Miami. But I'll tell you guys who I really want. Strong safety George McLeod out of Ohio State. Strong safety is a pretty big open spot on this team. He has elite speed, great acceleration, And then he also has A awareness, A man, A play rec, B tackle, C pursuit. I think this guy is going to be incredibly good. Obviously, the glaring downside to this is we pick at 16, he's mocked at 7, so there is no way he falls to us. So we would have to trade up, and I think that's going to be incredibly expensive. But I'm not going to mortgage our entire future by trading up to take a strong safety. Obviously, I think that guy's going to be very good, but that's just not a position you trade several first-round picks to move up and get. But let's see, the Chicago Bears are going to take right end Stephen Waddle with the number 1 pick. The Cardinals with the 2nd pick are going to take left tackle Ben Washington. With number 3, Seattle is going to take an outside linebacker out of Missouri. With the 4th pick, Houston is going to take a wide receiver out of UCF. And with pick number 5, Denver is going to end up selecting an outside linebacker out of Penn State. Let's see how expensive it is to move up with the other New York team. There are a few trade options they've thrown out here. I'm not giving you Brock Bowers. You can forget about that one. This one would give him our 1st round pick this year and next year, one of our 3 2nd-round picks, and a 6th and a 7. And then this one would give them a 2nd, actually 2 seconds this year, a 1st rounder in a couple years, a 2nd rounder next year and the year after that, and a 3rd rounder this year. Yeah, I'm really not comfortable with any of these. I guess we'll see what Miami wants to trade up. But for now, we have to see what the Giants are going to do with the number 6th overall pick, and they are going to take middle linebacker Parker Painter out of Virginia Tech. So Miami, what are you wanting for us to move up? Obviously, in real life, an interdivisional trade would cost you quite a bit, but once again, you're not getting Brock Bowers. Don't know why everyone thinks they're going to be able to do that. This looks like a very similar package to what the Giants went, except for that's all 3 of our 2nd round picks. We would get to keep our 1st round pick this year, though. And then this one is our 1st round pick this year and next year, a 2nd round pick in a couple years, and a 5th round pick. I actually kind of like that offer. I went ahead and edited that trade just a bit. So now we send our 1st round pick this year, a 2nd round pick in a couple years, a 5th round pick this year, and a 2nd round pick this year. I end up talking them out of the other 1st round pick. So we still have our 1st round pick next year, and now I can take my safety. If I just traded all of that to move up and take a safety with really good ratings but a normal depth trait, I'm ending the series right here. So everyone watching better really hope this is a hidden depth trait. George McLeod, you are a New York Jet and you have a hidden depth trait. Our next pick is the 8th pick in the 2nd round. We're going to take right tackle Rasheem Whitfield out of Penn State, 21 years old, A awareness, A impact block, A pass block. Welcome to New York with a hidden depth trait, and you will probably end up playing left tackle. Our next pick in the 2nd round is pick number 16, and Dexter Atkins. Obviously, you can see his stats don't look that great. He does have A play rec, which is pretty good here, but he also has elite strength, elite acceleration. But the main thing I'm looking at here is he is 6'2" and 400 pounds at defensive tackle. For the record, Jalen Carter is like 330 something, and Jordan Davis is 335, I believe. So this guy is absolutely massive. He's 100% a project, but I think he can be really good. So we're going to go and take Dexter Atkins. He comes in with 99 strength and a hidden depth trait. Then in the 3rd round, where we have our own pick at pick number 16, we're going to take outside linebacker Cody Canfield out of Boise State with C block shedding, but he does have A pursuit, A zone coverage, elite speed, and acceleration. Also has A awareness, A man, B play rec. Canfield's probably going to be our starter immediately, but unfortunately is a normal depth trait. In the 4th round, I'm looking at another outside linebacker. This one is Javier Hutchins out of Southern Miss. C block shedding, B pursuit, B tackle, B zone coverage. But I'm kind of wondering if I can move this guy over to defensive end and have him be even better. But we're going to go ahead and take him. He does have a normal depth trait. You know what? Screw it. Let's just load up on a bunch of outside linebackers that are super athletic. We have Caleb Vance out of Texas Tech, D block shedding, but B tackle, A zone coverage, elite speed, great acceleration. Caleb Vance, welcome to the Jets. Once again, a normal depth trait. We're going to have a lot of mid-ass backup outside linebackers. Now that we are in the 6th round, and I can't even guarantee that these guys are going to make the team, I am fine drafting some of these risks, like left tackle Matthew Benson, who's projected to go undrafted, but does have B awareness, C impact blocking, does have great strength here. I think he could develop into a pretty solid backup tackle, and Matthew Benson will also have a normal depth trait. We ended up having a bit of an injury issue at receiver last year where we really didn't have a ton of depth. So here in the 6th round, we are going to take a guy that could end up being something, I guess. B deep route, C catching traffic. He has elite acceleration, great speed, ran a 4.33 at the combine and his pro day. So Kyle Boykin, you are a jet with 95 speed, but unfortunately you are a normal depth trait. Now with our final pick in the draft at pick 16 here in the 7th round, we have outside linebacker Dimitri Taylor. Why not take one more outside linebacker? I think this is another guy I could move over to defensive end and he would probably be better. He actually has 4 speed for an outside linebacker, but he also comes in with C block shedding and then A to B tackle. So Dimitri Taylor, welcome to the Jets. Once again, a normal depth trait. Yeah, I think I'm fine giving up what I gave up to get safety George McLeod. He comes in as an 81 overall. But from that, let's check out the rest of our draft class. I will end up changing positions off screen before I play the preseason, so no one has changed positions just yet. But Rasheem Whitfield is a 74 overall offensive tackle. We then got a 75 overall defensive tackle in Dexter Atkins, a 72 overall outside linebacker, a 68 overall outside linebacker, and a 64 overall outside linebacker. Then a 66 overall left tackle, a 69 overall receiver, and a 61 overall outside linebacker yet again. And like I said, a couple of these guys will end up probably getting changed to defensive end. The first player taken in the draft was Steven Waddle, who was a 79 overall, and then Ben Washington, an 80 overall tackle. But yeah, George McLeod is listed as the highest rated player in the draft, so I am perfectly fine with that trade. In the next episode, we will handle the entire preseason. While I am off screen though, I will be adding more undrafted free agents and any veterans that I think can help the team, just like I always do, but we'll go over all of that before I actually get into the preseason in the next episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you next time.